Hello and welcome to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. My name is Seth. In our last episode we successfully brought Bill and Valentina back from orbit. They EVA'd and well, they were the first Kerbals to do docking, and they were both the first Kerbals to EVA. And we brought them back safely, and we pretty much noticed at that point there that the game was starting to become unplayable. Now, I was able to go through and test the mods bit by bit until I found the culprit that was causing null ref. It was the cryogenic tank mod. I don't know why. I mean, the mod generally works. I think it's just incompatible with all the other mods. I don't know. I've taken it out, and it hasn't really caused any issues that I've noticed in testing. So let's carry on with it without those mods. With the cryogenic tanks and the cryogenic engines. So let's jump straight back into it. The performance is it's a little bit better. I'm not going to say it's great. It's still struggling a bit, but it's certainly not throwing those errors, and it's certainly not as laggy as it was. Scene changes still take a little while though. Okay, so we're pretty much at the point now where we wanted to get the first part of our station into orbit. The station would be called Gagarin Station. So I think it's probably check to make sure that all the vehicles did load, that it didn't damage any of the parts. It looks good. Okay, not a problem. And again, we'll just double check. We do have some small errors, but nothing that's really going to cause us too many dramas at this stage. So we're looking at getting that craft into a 110 kilometer circular orbit. So let's just time warp a little bit. There is no more electric charge on Hercules 2, on Taurus 2. Let's control Hercules 2, Taurus 2. Now, interestingly enough, I did notice that I now have some issues. There's been some more malfunctions. So we've got Taurus 2, the Callisto K2. That one's a new one. The Callisto M2, which we knew about. The Callisto M4 has a critical failure as well. Taurus, Hercules, I don't think I need to worry too much. The Hercules don't have an antenna, that's expected. Taurus 02. Okay, so the Taurus 01 was the first craft we tried to get into orbit around KSC, around Kerbin, but we didn't have solar panels on it. The Taurus 02 we had a fuel cell, so the fuel cells run out of fuel now, that's fine. Hercules 02 was to go into a polar orbit around Kerbin. I actually had that listed down as it failed. I don't know why that one's showing up there. Okay, not to worry. So yeah, let's more because I am going to need to eventually get someone out to look at getting these failures fixed up, especially the Kerbin satellites. Okay, so now let's launch the Titania 01. Hopefully the performance is a little bit better. So this will be the first part of our first space station in low Kerbin orbit. So far it's a little bit better performance-wise. Let's have a quick look at no null refs coming there. I'm hitting 25 frames a second, so I mean it's good enough. And did I don't know if I did thrust them at these or not, so let's find out. 3, 2, 1. Let's go to space. So this is the first craft that we've needed to use the 4 SRBs. In the past, all of them have only had 2 SRB boosters, but I mean this probe here weighs 3 tons. It's mainly all monopropellant, so it is the heaviest payload that we've sent. So yeah, you can see there straight away the performance is quite a bit better. And you can see now that I'm now starting to get more as the science tree progresses. I'm getting more and more options on MechJeb. Just gonna throttle down a touch. As we come up through the atmosphere. I mean, we're not the most aerodynamic vehicle. You can see there just by throttling down that the dynamic pressure drops. So we start trying to do our turn ever so gently. It's really interesting that our altitude goes backwards. Up a bit of a rotation now. So let's increase the throttle because soon going to be rid of those SRBs in a couple of seconds. Rid of them. A little bit squirrely this launch, to be honest. Not the most. I mean, I've got that big weight on the front of the craft, which probably would be helping. So the first stage burns out. Let's get rid of that. Now the second stage, get rid of the fairings, and off we go. You can see there that it's nothing but monopropellant, to be honest, and it gives a fair bit of thrust. And so again, as like the satellite missions, I'll get this into orbit pretty much spot on, and then I'll just use HyperEdit to adjust it. Okay, that should do. Oh crap. We don't have enough delta V to get into orbit. Let's start burning down the monopropellant. Because the more of that I burn, the more my delta V will go up. This was unexpected. If I can make an orbit with this, any kind of orbit, I will be able to boost it with I'd be able to boost it with docking someone to it. That's caught me by surprise, to be honest. That really has. Should be okay. We're 1/8 of the way through the monopropellant. We can do this burn using monopropellant probably. Except we're dragging that rocket engine behind us as well, so that's not ideal. Is what it is though. Yeah, that's fine. So we'll I think what we'll do is jettison that, because that will just fall back to the planet, be destroyed, and this will we use monopropellant to burn orbit. This should be fine. Not going to be a good orbit, and it's going to need some adjusting, but it'll be fine. So we're going to slow down just a touch and just wait until we get a bit closer to apoapsis, because we've burnt over how funny. Did not expect that. I honestly thought that we would have enough to get into orbit. Rocket science. It's hard. Who'd have thought? So all I'm doing now is just keeping an eye on my time to apoapsis and making sure that that doesn't rise too high. What am I doing? Okay, so... Okay. So my periapsis is 110, my apoapsis is 114. I'm fairly happy with that. I'm not happy with the way that it went down, but it'll do. So I also installed a mod Ampere when I was going through the mods. It sort of implied that it would make it easier to manage power. But yeah, okay. There's a lot there. Okay. So what we'll do is we will actually edit our orbit. Complex, 0 inclination, 0 eccentricity. We want 710,000. Okay, so apply that. So that should be a nice orbit. Again, I can do that manually. It's just a lot of work that I really don't want to go through. So that's our station in orbit now. So let's rename this. Gagarin Station. No, it doesn't look like much, but it's what we've got. And so essentially now what we'll be looking at doing is sending up some Kerbals to dock with it. Also need to look at getting the Callisto K2 satellite fixed. But let's just check out the Taurus 1, 2 and Hercules 2 starters. The Taurus 2 for the time being, just to see what's going on with them. Just make sure this is the one. These are the ones that I'm thinking about. So that's the one, the fuel cell that we didn't have fuel for. Okay. Taurus 1. Wait, hang on, what? Sorry, so that's... Yeah, the Taurus 1 was the one I didn't have anything with. A fuel cell, okay. Right, yes, okay. The Taurus 2 had fuel cell with fuel, I think. Oh, of course. So why has the Taurus 2 run out of battery then? If the fuel cell was activated, if the fuel cell activated, no electric charge. Why do I have no electric charge? I have fuel left for the fuel cell. So the liquid hydrogen is it because that's malfunctioned? Okay. Okay, well, it's probably not worrying too much about getting that fixed. These malfunctions are going to be hard to work with, aren't they? Okay. Yep, it's going to be real hard to work with these malfunctions. So I think what we might look at doing, what do we actually have available? I don't have any science labs or anything available at this point in time, do I? Got recycling centers, that's all for ground-based. And I've got antennas now capable of getting out to Minmus. Got miniature docking ports. Okay, so a lot of colonization stuff there. Recycling containers, like when I destroy parts, they get recycled. I don't know where they go though. Yeah, interesting. So, I mean, I guess what I'm really sort of, where's the science base and the hab modules? Because I guess they'd be one of the first things that want to get up there. Hitchhiker containers. Yeah. So there's the science lab, so we need to head down that path. Also, need to work out what it would take to get a probe into low Kerbal orbit, so low orbit around the sun. But I think our best bet would probably be to send a probe out in this way, just to get acting as a relay out there. Then we can look at getting some science out from there. And so we'll look at doing that and getting some Kerbals up to our station and look at starting to do some repairs. I think that's what we'll work for on the next episode, but that will do for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please hit me up down below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.